Now, for our final and trickiest thing that we're going to do here, we're going to look at setting up ammeters and voltmeters in what is already quite a complicated circuit. I'm going to put some ammeter signs here. I'm going to draw over the top of my wire here. I'm going to put an ammeter here. I'm going to put an ammeter here. And I'm going to put an ammeter here. Now, at our school, we don't have enough kit to have everybody use 4 ammeters at one go. So I'm going to show you plugging them in different places. Now, in terms of the voltmeters don't get set up in series like this. They get set up in parallel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have voltmeters set up. One is going to go here with another route round this bulb. I'm going to set up another voltmeter here around this particular bulb. And I've also got some room to set up a voltmeter around the cell as well. So let me show you that from above. Now that's a very complicated circuit here. It's got lots and lots of routes through it. So we can have current flowing all the way through to the bulb at the end. We can also have current flowing all the way through this middle path here through this cell as well. Now the ammeters I can set up in different places. The voltmeters have to be set up in parallel. So this has a different route. It doesn't go through the cell. This has a different route. It doesn't go through the bulb. This has a different route. It doesn't go through the bulb here. Now let's try setting those up. Right. Now this is where I'll need that bigger piece of paper because it's going to be a bit of a squeeze. Right, components first. Bulbs here. Now I'm going to try an ammeter here first of all. I'm going to try a voltmeter up this side first of all. I'm going to see if I can connect all of these things together. Now I'm going to do one loop of the circuit at a time here. It's a good idea to check with other people around you that they can say, well look, that's where you should go. I should see lots of you pointing at the desk and pointing at these things. If I'm over the other side of the classroom and I see you pointing, then I know you're almost certainly doing the right thing. So if you're pointing at the piece of paper, you are probably doing the right thing in the lesson. If you're chatting while pointing, you're probably doing the right thing. Okay, I've got one of my bulbs lit. I've got a reading through the ammeter here. Right, I'm going to set my second bulb up now. Now remember, I'm piggybacking again for this second route. And it's looking very messy on the desk here. That's why this piece of paper really helps us out. Okay, now do you remember I said in our list here with our 5 steps, we're doing paper first, then components, then wires, then it becomes easy to check. Your teacher can look down at this and they can interpret through all this tangle of wires where you've put things. If you're asking your teacher to interpret your tangle of wires and you haven't got any paper down, then they'll be able to do it, but it's a lot slower process here. So I really strongly recommend putting down some pieces of paper beforehand so that you can have anyone else figure out what they're doing. Now, our last rule was voltmeters last. Okay, we've got this voltmeter here. And you remember I said, why don't you dangle the wires in? Have somebody hold it in the air to connect it up where the voltmeter should go. Now the voltmeter's there, but just while we connect it up, let's hold it up in the air. Right, now, there. Oh, see that wasn't lit. I had to just adjust that one to get that one going. Right, so we've got our voltmeter reading. We've got 3.84 there. We've got our ammeter reading, which is 0.06. Now, if you're doing all of this, what we can try doing is we can try setting the voltmeter up in different places. So the great thing about holding it in the air is I can unplug it from here. I can't do both of those. You need 2 of you for that. Right, connected it around this bulb. It was 3.84, you remember? What if I connect it around this one? Right. Now that's very, very, very close in terms of the voltmeter reading, 3.7 this time. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect it around the power pack. So I'm going to piggyback on top of the power pack here. One side here, one side here. Right. Ooh, that's the same reading, isn't it? So we've got about 3.7, 3.8. Now there's a rule for this. That's one of the rules you'll look at GCSE. Probably these rules will be a bit beyond this lesson here. But that rule is basically that in this parallel circuit, we've got the same potential difference everywhere. The same reading on the voltmeter, the same potential difference everywhere. Now, if you want to do that as a rule, I do actually have a really cheesy song you can use with that, with the same potential difference everywhere. Imagine Ed Sheeran's written a song about this being the same everywhere. It's the kind of thing he'd sing about with a really cheesy tune. But what we're mostly focused on is, can you physically do these techniques of setting up the voltmeter last? Can you draw things on paper first? Can you connect the components? Can you connect the wires? Can you check them? Now, voltmeters are much easier to move around than ammeters are. Right, now at the moment I've got my ammeter in one part of the circuit here. I've got it in this part. Now, if I want to set it up again, it might be easier to unplug everything in my circuit to get to that stage. It doesn't take very long to unplug everything, put your components down, and I'm going to put the ammeter in this place instead. Not here, I'm going to put it here instead. Now, will the ammeter show the same reading everywhere? Is that the same rule? The voltmeter showed the potential difference as the same everywhere. What about the ammeter? So remember, I'm piggybacking to go into this second bulb. And then I'm connecting back up to the circuit here. Right. Okay. So basically what I've got in here is I've got 0.06. When I had it connected up here, what did I have instead? Oh, it's a larger reading. I've got 0.12. Well, that's because our rule for current isn't the same as our rule for potential difference. Our rule for current is that basically these two bulbs are sharing the current. It's not the same everywhere. These two have to share the amount of current. This takes 0.6 and this one takes 0.6 as well. Now, what that means is if we add up the current that's flowing through this bulb and add up the current that's flowing through this bulb, we'll get the total amount of current that's coming from the power pack and flowing through this ammeter. Now, again, I've got a cheesy Ed Sheeran style tune for that one about things being shared. That's the kind of thing he'd sing about. I'm going to save that one for another time, because remember, we're focused on this technique. Now, we've gone through loads. We've gone through fault finding. We've gone through this process of setting up all of our diagrams on here using paper to help you. If your teacher wants to do it and you want to do it without the paper, then that's perfectly okay. But if you get into difficulty, use the paper. It's much, much easier for the teacher to sort you out if you are using the paper beforehand. If you're not using the paper, or rather in my classes, if I see someone who's not using the paper and they're having some difficulty, I'll always say, right, let's go through those steps, let's go back and see, did you do all of the others? If they started with the wires and it didn't work, then that never surprises me. So I recommend this order: paper, components, wires, check, and do your voltmeters last, possibly even dangling in the air. Thank you.